Okay, Coach Garland here. Talk about our duel against Duke on Friday night, 7 o'clock. So, Coach, you want to start with a statement, or anybody? Jeff,
I just want to say I don't get out much, guys. So thank you for having me over here. This is a big deal. I smell popcorn. You guys got cameras. It's sweet.
So, apart from the duel, you mentioned this is alumni weekend, and you're going to honor 10 and 15 teams. What's it been like, particularly the 15 team, those guys, if my math is correct, they're like in their late 30s now. A lot of them are fathers, husbands.
Yeah.
Have you stayed tight with your former wrestlers? I mean, what's it been like seeing those relationships evolve?
I'm really tight with a lot of them, yes, and I'm really excited because it's gonna fill my cup. Whenever I start getting low on the energy meter, not a lot of gas in the tank, with all the things you go through with the ups and downs of the season, just hearing Coach Mox is like, man, can I identify with what she's saying? With illness and injury and all the things and stress of the grind of the ACC schedule for us, and just to be able to see those guys like Matt Schneider, who's a doctor at UVA Medical, who is my starting 33-pounder in the 2010 ACC Championship team, or Chris Henrik, who's a Wall Street executive, or Nick Solzer from the 15 team. You remember Nick, 3-time All-American that's now an FBI agent and working on basically he's doing special work for trying to combat human trafficking all over the world. I mean, last I checked, he was in Amsterdam, and now he's back in the States. So that's pretty special. And so to be around those guys, George DiCamillo's of the world, the NCAA finalist for us, who gets it. I mean, that guy's a walking Steve Garland quote machine. Like, that helps me out a million. Not because of my ego, by the way, because, okay, I did make an impact. It's not just wins and losses. It really revitalizes me as a coach. Okay, I am in the right wheelhouse here. I'm fulfilling my calling, and I'm doing something here that's good besides just hopefully beating Duke on Friday.
How much do your guys relish the chance to play or to wrestle at JPJ in front of probably the biggest crowd they'll wrestle in front of this season?
This is huge for them. Look, when we recruit them, they ask, like, hey, are we going to get in here? Truly, Coach, are we really going to get in here? And so for us to be able to get in here as much as we have in recent years, our administration, I think thank you, because I think they're getting how big a deal it is for our athletes. So, I'm looking forward to it as much as anybody. I can't believe what they're going through. I mean, look, I would have done, I think I said this last time I talked to you guys, I would have done anything to be in their situation, to be able to compete in this arena against a good team. So I think they're over the moon excited. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to keep them, not from getting too high, to be honest with you. Sometimes we don't wrestle well when we get too amped up. So I'm going to try to do my best to do that.
So for people who don't often come to wrestling matches, what will they see from your team on Friday?
That's a great question. They're going to be entertained. Last year I was doing Tony Bennett's radio show, and I met a family there. They'd never seen wrestling ever. And I had 2 little boys with them. I said, I promise you, they're going to love it, and you're going to love it. And not just Dad, I'm saying, Mom, you're going to love it too. Sure enough, I get an email like a week after the Virginia Tech match last year here at JBJ, and she's like, you were right. It was amazing. Our kids loved it. And so it's just it's a martial art. It's a combat sport, but it's going to sound really corny. It's a combat sport with class. These guys are out there contorting their bodies and doing crazy stuff and doing backflips off single legs and doing all this crazy stuff, but in a way that is also respectful to their opponent. And they're not trying to hurt each other. They're out there they're just trying to do the best they can with the gifts and talents they've been gifted with. And that's an art to me personally.
Coach, how you talked about the past with bringing in your former players who will be here for this match, but also given the bigger space, the bigger arena, to have potentially introduce fans to the game as well. You're talking about the future as well, possibly inspiring the next generation of wrestlers. How cool is that to kind of combine the past and the future of UVA wrestling?
Yeah, we're doing a free clinic beforehand. We're expecting a big turnout. Last year we had a huge turnout, and it's really cool to see those kids' faces light up when our guys run out of the tunnel. That might have been the coolest part about last year, besides Marlon getting a top 10 win. That was a big deal. Just seeing how, and that one of the moms who reached out to me on email said that was her son's favorite part. And so everybody wants heroes. I mean, when you were that age, you had people you looked up to. I sure did. I remember watching Al Toon from the New York Jets. There's a shout out for the old school guys. I remember being like, he was my favorite player, and I met him once at Middletown High School, and I almost fainted. So our guys need to represent the way they compete, not the win. The way they compete has to be what we say, compete in such a way so that those little guys are like, I want to be that guy when I grow up. And because I'm talking about before, during, and after. Because you cannot be you can handle a win bad and you can handle a loss bad too. The way you handle yourself is what I'm hopefully locked in on with these guys for this dual meet.
You mentioned not wanting your guys to get too high potentially, going into a match. How do you balance that, with the way that the sport of wrestling is, where you need to have some juice, but if you have too much, that can be bad. How do you find that balance with your players?
It's hard. I was like the worst at that. As a matter of fact, in the NCAA finals, I was riding so high for like 4 hours straight. By the time my feet hit the stage, I was exhausted because I'd warmed up way too early, and I was like, getting too much too soon. So, one, you got to have a routine. You got to have a routine that you stick to, and that gives you, that helps with the anxiety. It calms you down, gets you in your zone. And two, having a goal that transcends the win. If you fixate on winning, you're going to lose your mind. But if there's a goal that's bigger than that, some people, Will Mason, who's going to be back this weekend, hey, have a goal that I'm going to put on a show. I want when that mom, who's the first time ever been to a wrestle match, leaves, I want her to say, wow, whatever that was pretty cool to watch. I want to watch that guy wrestle again. So when you do that, it makes it a little bit more fun, hopefully.
Nick Hamilton is back in the lineup after missing a lot of time with injuries. How, as he kind of looks ahead to postseason, is this a pivotal stretch for him just to get the rust off and get back?
Yeah, we
get
need
back
him
in rhythm.
Yeah, it's been so great having him back. He's our captain. He's the guy that everybody looks to. They call him Tank. The guys on the team call him Tank. He looks like a statue and wrestles like a hammer. It's like, yeah, I mean, he wrestles an All-American first match back after 9 weeks off the mat, and then next week beats a ranked kid from Virginia Tech. So yeah, that's huge. That's awesome. So we got our guy back. He's got another ranked guy this weekend. This young man from Duke is their best kid. He took second at the Southern Scuffle, and so it's no easy out. This is going to be a real deal match for him. But no matter what happens with the result, it builds his RPI, gets him back into it. So this is all critical heading into ACCs. Remember last year he was losing a lot in these duels. And then at ACCs, he won the tournament and got most outstanding wrestler because he had felt that before. So him just getting these matches back under his belt is really important for him.
You have addressed this several times over the years, but how much has ACC wrestling changed and improved since your undergraduate days?
It's crazy. I mean, look, guys, if you look back, 99-2000 season, my senior year, I think there was 13 guys that went to the NCAA tournament from the ACC. 13. There's 10 weights. So that means basically you had to win it to go. And I got defensive fouled in the finals. I was ranked like 4th in the country and blew it and got pinned. And I was like, oh my goodness, am I even going to go? And the next week I took second. But it was like that's how hard it was. Now there's 40 guys every year, pretty much 35 to 40 guys that go every year. So that shows you how different the level is. Where you might get 5 or 6 guys going to the national tournament from that one weight class. Look, we just had NC State at home. Then we had Stanford away, which was in that trip. Don't even get me started on that trip. The travel on that trip. What a great idea that was. And then we came back and had Virginia Tech at the Thunderdome at their place. It was like, good grief. And now it's awesome to have that type of competition, but it's also really hard. I'm probably the only knucklehead that'll admit it out loud. It's really tough to do back to back to back to back like that.
You mentioned that this is the 3rd time in 4 years that you guys have done something here at JPJ. As a coaching staff, what have you guys learned about the build-up and preparing the guys for an event like this?
Well, it's a lot more fun in the room because these guys are excited about it. They get it. They get that they're at home. They get that we got all these people coming back, and you should want them to enjoy that. Dylan Cedeno's a ham. He's a show pony. He wants all eyes on him. So he can't. This dude, you should have seen him in the lift this morning with his jokes and his bravado and everything. Hey, that's who he is, and no one's gonna have more fun coming out of tunnel than him. So it's kind of cool in the wrestling room, as opposed to, I'll just be honest, you're a professional, you're trying to do it the right way, but when you're like, well, we got to travel to, we're going to be in the airport for 14 hours and on a plane for 6, and then we're going to get there at 5 a.m. East Coast time. I don't care who you are, even though you try to put that in the back of your head, it's still there. Whereas opposed to this, it's like, hey guys, once you weigh in, we're going to have pancakes for you upstairs. I mean, pancakes for wrestlers. It's like, that's the lotto, man. We're going to have fruit for you. We're going to have a beautiful locker room. Your family's going to be here. It's going to be a big deal. So I think it makes practice a little bit more fun. Like today, I think it's going to be a really fun day of practice. God willing, nobody will get hurt.